I leaned back in my chair, staring out of my office window. The skyline stretched out before me, a sea of glass and steel. The sun was beginning to dip behind the horizon, painting everything in hues of gold and orange. For a moment, everything seemed right. Everything seemed like it was where it was supposed to be. I had worked my entire life for this, climbing the corporate ladder, doing everything by the book. Every decision I made, every project I took on was calculated. I'd always been the reliable one, the steady hand in the room. My CEO, Elena Hartwell, was the reason I'd stayed so dedicated to the company. She was the leader I admired, the one who showed me that hard work and loyalty mattered. I respected her. More than that, I trusted her. But that was before everything changed. "Elena's waiting for you in the conference room," my assistant said, interrupting my thoughts. I straightened up, pushing the chaotic thoughts to the back of my mind. "Thanks." The elevator ride was short, but my heart was already pounding. I wasn't nervous, at least not in the traditional sense, but there was something in the air today, something that made the usual calm feel off. Elena had always been confident, even intimidating at times, but today there was a flicker in her eyes I couldn't place. As I walked into the conference room, she was standing by the window, her back to me. Her silhouette looked strong against the dimming light, but there was something fragile about the way she held herself today. "Elena?" I said, not wanting to startle her. She turned and I saw it. Her eyes weren't the clear, focused ones I'd grown used to. There was something in them. A worry, a fear I hadn't seen before. "Right on time, as usual," she said, her voice smooth but with a touch of strain. She didn't smile, and that was strange. Elena always had a way of making her presence feel like an unspoken command. Today, though, there was something different. "What's going on?" I asked, unable to hide the concern creeping into my voice. She hesitated, her fingers tapping nervously against the table. "We've got a problem. A big one." I nodded, waiting for her to explain. But instead, she walked to the projector and hit a few buttons. The screen flickered to life, displaying the first slide. It was a financial report, one that looked healthy at first glance, but the deeper you dug, the worse it got. The numbers were skewed, manipulated. "This is bad, isn't it?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She sighed and sat down, rubbing her temples. "We've been under attack from inside the company. I didn't want to believe it at first, but it's true. Someone's been selling our secrets. We're being sabotaged from the inside." "Who?" I asked, my blood running cold. She didn't have to say it. I already knew. "Daniel," she replied, her voice tight. "Daniel Cates, the VP of Operations. He'd always been charming, the kind of guy you couldn't help but trust. We'd all worked together for years, and I had considered him a friend. But now, the thought of him betrayed me as much as Elena had been betrayed. I felt a pang in my chest. How could I have missed this? I'd known Daniel for years. We'd shared a lot of late nights at the office, talked about our personal lives, laughed about the same stupid jokes. And yet all this time he'd been plotting behind our backs. "Elena, what are we going to do?" I asked, my voice low, my stomach sinking. She didn't respond immediately. I could see the gears turning in her head, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. "I need you to do something for me, Tom." Her voice was quiet, almost pleading. "I need you to help me fix this. You've always been my right hand. You're the only one I trust with this." The words hit me harder than I expected. I had always trusted Elena. I had always been there when she needed me, had given everything for the company. Now she was asking me to take this risk, and the stakes were higher than ever. "What's the plan?" I asked, trying to keep the panic from showing in my voice. Elena's gaze turned hard, focused. "We need to find the evidence, prove it's him. If we don't act fast, it'll be too late. The board is already losing faith in me, and if Daniel's done what I think he's done, we're going to lose everything." I stood up, pacing in the room. How did we not see this coming? We've trusted him, and he's been planning this the whole time. I didn't want to believe it, but I've seen the signs now. I don't know how far this goes, Tom. I need your help to stop him. I can't do it alone. There it was. She was asking for my loyalty, my help once again, and no matter how much the betrayal stung, I knew what I had to do. I had always been the one to pick up the pieces when things fell apart. I had always been the one to take the fall when things went wrong. "I'm in," I said, though I could feel the unease rising in my gut. "But we need a plan. We can't just walk into this blind." "We'll need to be careful," she agreed, her voice tight. "The people we're up against are dangerous, Tom. I'm counting on you." "I trust you," I nodded. But inside, I felt the sting of something deeper than just professional loyalty. It wasn't just Daniel's betrayal that was hurting me. It was Elena's trust in me that was now a weight I wasn't sure I could carry. "I'll do whatever it takes," I said, though I wasn't sure if those were the words I meant. What was I getting myself into? As I left her office, my mind raced. The calm before the storm was over, and there was no turning back now. I couldn't believe the numbers on the screen. They didn't add up. No matter how many times I ran the figures, they always pointed to the same conclusion. Something was wrong, horribly wrong. Elena, the CEO, had put me in charge of securing the company's financials. I was trusted to handle this, and now we were staring down the edge of disaster. The audit reports were a mess, and there were signs of manipulation in places I never expected. My phone buzzed on the desk, shaking me from my thoughts. Elena's name flashed on the screen and my heart skipped. I'd been waiting for her call all day. "Tom, we need to meet, now." I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my jacket and made my way to her office, my mind racing. What could be so urgent? Was she as lost as I was? The closer I got, the more I could feel the tension in the air. Elena was usually calm, poised, but today something was different. I could tell from the look in her eyes when I walked in. She was already standing by the window, looking out at the city below like she wasn't really here with me. "Tom," she said, not turning around. "Sit down. We have a problem." I took a seat, trying to steady my breath. "What's going on?" "The reports, are we in trouble?" She turned to face me, her face pale, the lines of stress more pronounced than ever. "We're not just in trouble, Tom, we're in deep. I've been looking into this for weeks and it's worse than we thought." My stomach twisted. "Worse than we thought?" "Elena, what are we dealing with here?" "Daniel," she said, her voice tight. "Daniel." I felt my blood go cold. "What do you mean?" "Daniel has been sabotaging us," she said flatly, like the words were hard to say out loud. "He's been orchestrating everything from the inside. All these discrepancies, all these problems, they lead back to him." I felt my chest tighten. My mind raced back to every conversation I'd had with Daniel over the years. He was the VP of operations, a close colleague, even a friend. How could he do this? How could he betray us all? "How do you know it's him?" I asked, my voice tight with disbelief. "I've been digging. I have proof. I can't go into all the details right now, but I trust what I've found. The things he's been doing." She trailed off, shaking her head as if she couldn't believe it herself. "So, what do? We need to stop this before it's too late." My voice was louder now, a mix of frustration and fear. Elena didn't respond right away. Instead, she walked over to the desk and placed a hand on the papers in front of her, looking like she was trying to find the strength to speak. I could feel the weight of the moment, the pressure, the stakes. She was looking at me like she had no one else to turn to. "I need you to go to him," she said finally. "Confront him. Find out what he knows. Find out what he's really after." My eyes narrowed. "Confront him? Elena, we can't just walk in and do that. He's not some random guy. He's a senior member of this company. If he's been working with others, this could be bigger than we think." She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of desperation and determination. "Tom, I can't do this alone. You're the only one I trust right now. You've always been the one to clean up the messes. You've been loyal to this company, and I need you now more than ever." The weight of her words settled on my chest, but I wasn't sure I could trust myself to make the right call. Everything about this felt wrong. Daniel wasn't just a colleague. He was my friend. My supposed friend. I'd been through so much with him. We'd shared countless nights working late together, confided in each other about our personal lives. And now, he was destroying everything I'd worked for, everything we'd built. "I'll do it," I said, though the words felt hollow in my mouth. But if he's really behind this, we're talking about more than just an internal issue. This could ruin all of us. "I know," she said softly, "but we don't have a choice." The next few hours were a blur. I drove to Daniel's office, my mind swirling with questions I didn't know how to ask. Could I confront him? Could I even trust him enough to get the truth? When I arrived, Daniel wasn't in his office. His assistant said he was in a meeting, but I knew he'd be back soon. My nerves were shot. I couldn't figure out what to do next. How could I approach him? What was the right thing to say? I just couldn't shake the feeling that everything was crumbling around me. Daniel finally walked in, looking like the same old charming guy I knew. His smile was warm, but I could tell there was something off about him. There was a confidence in his eyes that I didn't recognize. Tom? He said, as if nothing was wrong. What's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice steady. I need to talk to you. He raised an eyebrow, but his smile never wavered. Sure, what's up? I stepped closer, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. I know what you've been doing, Daniel. I know you've been undermining the company. You've been working against us all along. His expression flickered just for a second. But that was enough. It was all the confirmation I needed. You have no idea what you're talking about, he said, his tone shifting. It was colder now, defensive. I've been doing what's necessary to keep the company afloat. Elena is too blind to see it. I shook my head, disgust swelling in my chest. You're lying. All of this, these problems with the finances, the leaks, the sabotage, it all leads back to you. He took a step toward me, his eyes hardening. You don't know anything. Elena's decisions are what's been ruining us. She's weak. I was doing what had to be done. My heart sank. This wasn't just business to him. This was personal. He had betrayed me, and he was willing to destroy everything to get what he wanted. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, feeling the betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. Why didn't you come to me? We were supposed to be friends. Daniel's lips curled into a smirk. Because you were always too loyal to her. You never saw what was really going on. I'm just a little more honest about it. The truth hit me like a punch to the gut. I'd been played. All along, I'd been nothing but a pawn in his game. And Elena, she'd stood by him. She had chosen him. You don't understand, I said, my voice shaky. Elena trusted you. His face twisted in contempt. She's weak, Tom, and so are you if you keep following her. I didn't know what else to say. I was lost. I had fought so hard to protect this company, to protect Elena. And now I was left with nothing but anger and heartbreak. I turned on my heel, unable to look at him anymore. I'll let her deal with this, but you'll regret what you've done. It's been 2 weeks since the confrontation with Daniel, and every day feels like a battle. I've lost everything. My job, my trust in Elena, and most painfully, my sense of purpose. It's all gone. And now I'm left to pick up the pieces, watching everything fall apart from the sidelines. I sit in my small apartment, my fingers drumming absent-mindedly on the table. The sound of traffic outside seems distant, like I'm not really here. I haven't been able to bring myself to leave this apartment much. What's the point? Everything I worked for, everything I believed in is crumbling. The company is spiraling, and I can't help but feel like I should have done more, should have seen it coming. My phone buzzes, breaking my trance. It's a message from my old colleague, Mark. I can't believe she's still standing by him. I read the text again, letting the words sink in. Elena, still standing by Daniel. I can't wrap my head around it. She knows what he's done. She knows he's the one who put everything at risk, and yet she's still supporting him. Why? Was I that disposable to her? I tossed the phone aside and leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. My mind races, replaying every moment, every conversation with Elena. I always thought I knew her. I trusted her. I would have done anything for her. But now I don't know who she is anymore. The CEO I respected has turned into someone I can't even recognize. A knock at the door jolts me out of my thoughts. I glance at the clock. It's too early for a visitor. I open the door to find Mark standing there, looking as tired as I feel. Can we talk? He asks, stepping inside without waiting for an answer. About what? I mutter, my voice flat. About the company. About everything that's been going down. I close the door behind him, leaning against it, not sure if I even want to have this conversation. But then again, I know it's unavoidable. Mark's one of the few people left who hasn't turned his back on me. Daniel's still running things behind the scenes, Mark continues, lowering his voice. Elena, she's barely even trying to stop him. I can hear the bitterness in his tone, and I know exactly why. Mark had been just as loyal as I was. He had trusted Elena and Daniel, and now they're both letting the company burn. I don't get it, I say, finally finding my voice.
She's standing by him, Mark. After everything we know, how can she still defend him?
Mark shakes his head. I don't know, man. I really don't. It doesn't make sense. We both fall silent, the weight of the situation hanging between us. I can feel the anger bubbling inside me, mixing with the confusion. How could Elena do this? After everything?
Have you spoken to her?
Mark asks, breaking the silence. No, I reply sharply. I haven't spoken to her since Well, since that day. I remember it clearly, the day I confronted Daniel when Elena stood there looking helpless, choosing him over me. I haven't been able to forget the look in her eyes as she stood by him, like I wasn't even worth fighting for. Mark lets out a long breath.
I've been thinking. You need to talk to her.
If you want any closure, you have to face her. I don't need closure, I snap. What's the point? She's made her choice. She's with him now. And I'm nothing. Mark looks at me like he's trying to read me.
You're not nothing.
You did everything you could. I did everything for her, I say, my voice cracking. And it didn't matter. It never did. She chose him. She's letting him destroy everything, and I'm the one left holding the pieces. I stand up, pacing the room, trying to burn off the anger that's threatening to consume me. I can't stop thinking about what Daniel did. The lies, the manipulation, and now he walks away unscathed. He's getting away with it. That's not fair, Mark says, standing up too. You can't blame yourself for this. He's the one who messed up, not you. I stop, glaring at him. You don't get it. I could have done more. I could have stopped this before it got this far, but I didn't. Tom, listen to me. You couldn't have known. None of us could. Daniel's a snake, and Ellen Ashley's blinded by loyalty to him. Loyalty? I scoff. To someone who's been stabbing us in the back this whole time? Mark sighs. She doesn't see it. At least not yet. But when she does, when it all falls apart, she'll regret it. I stare at the floor, the weight of his words sinking in. I want to believe that. I want to believe that Elena will eventually realize what she's done. But part of me wonders if it'll be too late by then. I don't know if I can forgive her, I say quietly. More to myself than to Mark. I don't know if I can go back from this. You don't have to forgive her, Mark says, his voice firm. But you have to move on. For your own sake. She's not the person you thought she was. I shake my head, feeling the tears welling up behind my eyes. I'm angry at myself for letting this happen, for trusting someone who didn't deserve it. Later that night, I find myself scrolling through my phone, trying to distract myself. There are so many messages from people I used to work with, texts full of sympathy, frustration, and anger. Everyone's feeling the fallout. The company is in chaos. Elena's decision to stick by Daniel has cost her more than just my trust. The board's furious, employees are leaving in droves, and the damage to our reputation is irreversible. I see a name flash on my screen. Elena. My heart races for a moment before I quickly swipe the message away. I can't deal with this right now. I'm not ready to hear whatever excuses she has. I don't care about her reasons anymore. She made her choice. The next few days are a blur. I go through the motions, getting up, going to the gym, trying to keep myself busy. But every time I look at my phone, the weight of the situation crashes down on me again. I feel like I'm drowning in anger, confusion, and regret, and I can't escape it. Daniel's still there, thriving while I'm left to clean up the mess. And Elena? She's nowhere to be found, not really. She's hiding behind her decisions, behind her loyalty to someone who doesn't deserve it. I don't know what to do anymore. I've lost everything, and I'm not sure who I am without it. I've spent the last few weeks wallowing in the wreckage of my life. Every day feels the same, empty, bitter, and raw. I've avoided people, avoided the phone calls, avoided thinking about the future. It's easier that way. But the truth is, I can't keep living like this. I can't let this betrayal define me. I'm not that kind of person. I lean against the kitchen counter, staring at the half-empty cup of coffee in my hand. It's cold now, just like everything else in my life. I haven't made a decision yet, but something in me knows I have to. I've let myself be swallowed by anger, by regret, and all it's done is keep me stuck. I can't do that anymore. I've spent so much time plotting revenge, imagining how I could take down Daniel, how I could make Elena feel the same pain I'm feeling. The problem is that kind of thinking is only going to keep me chained to this mess. If I stay focused on them, I'll never get out. I'll never be free. The decision hits me like a slap to the face. I don't need revenge. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I need to prove something to myself. I need to rise above the hurt. Get your life together, Tom, I mutter under my breath. This ends today. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do yet, but I know this. I can't stay here. Not in this place of stagnation and bitterness. I need to move forward. I need to reclaim my life, my dignity, my future. I pick up my phone, scrolling through messages that I haven't bothered to respond to. Mark's been texting me nonstop, probably worried about me. I haven't spoken to him in days, not since we had that conversation about Elena. Honestly, I don't know what to say to him. But I can't avoid it forever. I hit reply and start typing. I'm moving on. Starting over. I send the message before I can second guess myself. It feels strange, almost liberating to take control of something, even if it's just a text. I don't know what's next, but I do know one thing. I'm not staying in this endless loop of misery and betrayal. I've wasted enough time on it. The next few days are a blur of phone calls, meetings, and emails. I start to take stock of what I've lost and what I still have. My job is gone, but that doesn't mean my skills are. My connections are still there. My experience hasn't disappeared. I start reaching out to people I trust, old friends, former colleagues, and begin to piece together a plan. I know I can't just jump back into the corporate world, not after everything that's happened. But I've always been adaptable. I've always been able to roll with the punches, and right now, I need to remember that. My phone buzzes again. It's Elena. I hesitate for a moment, staring at the screen. My heart races. I haven't heard from her in weeks. After everything that happened, I didn't know if I'd ever hear from her again. And part of me doesn't want to answer. She made her choice, and now I need to live with it. But another part of me, the part that hasn't given up hope completely, wants to hear her side. She owes me an explanation, doesn't she? I take a deep breath and answer the call. Tom, her voice is soft, almost hesitant. I've been trying to reach you. I don't know what to say, so I just stay silent. I can hear the tension in her voice. She knows what I'm thinking. She knows how I feel. I know you're angry, she says, almost apologetically. And you have every right to be. But I need you to understand. Things aren't what they seemed. I didn't know the full extent of what Daniel was doing. I laugh bitterly, the sound escaping before I can stop it. Really? You didn't know? After everything? He's been sabotaging the company for months and you didn't know? There's a pause on the other end. I can almost hear her weighing her words, trying to find a way to make this better. But there's no making this better. Not for me. I'm sorry, she says finally, her voice breaking slightly. I should have seen it. I should have done something sooner, but I was too close to him. No. I cut her off, the anger building up in my chest. Don't try to explain this away. You chose him. You always chose him. I was just the guy cleaning up after you. There's silence on the line, and for a moment, I wonder if she's even going to respond. But then she speaks again, her voice small and fragile. I never wanted it to end this way, Tom, she whispers. I never wanted to hurt you. Well, you did, I reply, my voice cold. You hurt me more than I thought possible. She doesn't say anything to that. I know she's sorry, but that doesn't change anything. She made her choice and it's over. I've made my decision, Elena, I continue, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm moving on. I'm not coming back. For a moment, I hear nothing but her shaky breath on the other end. Then, finally, she speaks. I understand, she says, her voice barely audible. I hope you find what you're looking for, Tom. I end the call without another word. I don't know what I expected, but that wasn't it. I thought I'd feel better after hearing her apology, but all it does is remind me of how deep the wound is. I don't want to keep hurting myself by staying attached to her. She's not the person I thought she was, and I have to accept that. I sit in the silence for a moment, the weight of everything settling on me. This is it. The decision has been made. I'm done looking back. I'm done waiting for something to change that isn't going to. It's time to take control. I stand up and start packing up my things, my life, my future. It's all out there waiting for me if I'm willing to take it. And I am. I am ready to move forward, to rebuild, to prove to myself that I'm not the man I was. I'm not the man who was betrayed, who wallowed in anger and regret. I'm someone else now. I gather my things, feeling the weight of the past slipping away. It's not over yet, but this is the first step. And it's enough. It's been months since I walked away, and for the first time in a long time, I feel a little lighter. My life isn't perfect, but it's mine. I'm working in a new company now, a smaller team, but one that respects me for my skills, my judgment. I don't have the weight of Elena's empire on my shoulders anymore. I finally feel like I can breathe. Mark calls me during lunch one afternoon. Tom, you need to see this, he says, his voice tense. What is it? I ask, already dreading the answer. It's Daniel, he says. He's screwing up everything. I sit up straighter. How? Financial reports are slipping. Deals are falling through. Elena's trying to cover it, but you can see it from here. The cracks are everywhere. I let out a dry laugh. Finally. I never imagined I'd feel satisfaction in someone else's failure, but there it was, creeping in. She's still standing by him? Yeah, Mark replies. She hasn't woken up yet. But trust me, it's coming. Everything's falling apart, and she's watching it happen. I lean back in my chair, my fingers drumming on the table. It's strange seeing the chaos unfold from this distance. I'm no longer in it, no longer responsible for the fallout, and yet I can't help but feel a grim sense of justice. Later that week, I'm in the office when my phone buzzes again. It's Elena. I ignore it at first. Why would I want to hear from her now? I don't owe her anything. But my finger hovers over the screen. Curiosity or maybe residual loyalty makes me answer. Tom, she says, voice tight. Can we talk? About what? I reply, keeping my tone neutral. I need your advice. Things are falling apart here and I don't know what to do. I pause, staring at the screen. Part of me wants to hang up. Part of me wants to say, you chose him. You let it happen. But I don't. Do you want my advice or do you just want someone to cry to? I ask bluntly. She hesitates. I need guidance. You understand things I can't right now. I let out a short laugh. Funny how that works. I was the one cleaning up after you once, and now you're here. I know, she whispers. I see it now. I see what I did wrong, and I'm paying for it. I feel my chest tighten, but I don't let it show. I've learned to control my emotions. Elena, what you're feeling doesn't fix anything. You had your chance. You made your choice. She's quiet for a moment. I know, but I want to make it right. Maybe not for me, but for the company. For everyone we hurt. I don't know if you can, I reply honestly. Daniel's mistakes, they're on you both. I'm done trying to rescue anyone. Her silence is long, and I realize she knows I'm right. Meanwhile, I'm getting my own victories, small but meaningful. My new team respects me, values my input, and trusts my decisions. I see the difference between being in control and being manipulated. I don't need to destroy anyone to get what I deserve. I just need to outlast them. One afternoon, Mark meets me for coffee. Tom, it's happening faster than I thought. Daniel's empire is collapsing. I raise an eyebrow. Do you think Elena realizes it? Mark shakes his head. Not yet. But she'll see. She's watching everything crumble. I sip my coffee slowly, letting the words sink in. It's satisfying in a quiet, controlled way. I've learned that revenge doesn't need to be explosive. Watching them unravel naturally, that's enough. The emails start coming in. Mistakes Daniel's making, contracts he's failing to secure, employees quitting. I keep track casually, but I don't intervene. I let them dig their own grave. And they do, beautifully. Every error, every failed deal, every lost client is a reminder of the choices they made. One evening, I run into Elena at a conference. She looks different, older, tense. I can see the cracks in her armor. The confidence she once had is gone, replaced with a shadow of regret. Tom, she says softly, almost hesitant. I never wanted it to get this bad. I study her face for a moment. You had your chance, Elena. You still do, but it's your choices now. I'm not here to fix this for you. Her eyes glisten with unshed tears. I know, and I see now what I lost. I see what I should have done. I shake my head slowly. Too late. You made your choice, and now you live with it. Just like Daniel will. Her lips tremble, and I feel a pang, but it's not mine to soothe anymore. I've learned to separate myself from the chaos. I've learned that watching from the sidelines, steady and composed, is more powerful than getting caught in the storm. That night, I sit alone in my apartment, reflecting on everything. Daniel's empire is falling apart, and Elena is starting to grasp the consequences of her choices. I've moved on, stronger than I've ever been, and yet I can't help but feel a shadow of sadness. I whisper to myself, this is justice, not revenge. Karma doesn't need my help. It's doing the work for me. I check my phone and see messages from my new team, thanking me for guidance, celebrating small victories. This is my world now. This is my life, rebuilt from the ground up. I don't need them to fall to feel strong. I just need to stand firm in my own life, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I close my eyes, letting a sense of peace wash over me. The reckoning has begun, but it's not mine to deliver, it's theirs to endure. and I'm ready for whatever comes next. I never expected to see them both again, not like this, not in the same room. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. The Investors' Summit was the last place I thought our paths would cross. Yet here I was, standing in front of Elena and Daniel. The ghosts of everything I'd buried. Elena looked drained. Shadows under her eyes, her once perfect composure cracked. Daniel, though, he still had that smug grin. The kind of grin that used to get under my skin, and still did. "Tom," Elena said softly, like my name was an apology. "I didn't know you'd be here." "I didn't know you'd still be standing next to him," I replied, my voice cold enough to cut the air. "Guess some things never change," Daniel chuckled. "Always so dramatic. You still blaming me for everything that went wrong?" I turned to him, anger simmering just beneath the surface. "Blaming you?" "No, I'm just here watching karma finally catch up to you," his grin faltered. "Karma, huh? You think I'm the one falling apart? Look around you, Tom. I'm still here and you're, what, working for someone else?" I smiled. "Yeah, working for someone who values integrity." "Can you even spell that word anymore?" Elena stepped between us, her voice shaking. "Please stop. This isn't the place for—" "No," I cut her off. "This is the place. Because I've spent too long pretending that what you two did didn't destroy everything I worked for. And I'm done staying silent." Daniel's smirk returned, thin and bitter. "You always had a martyr complex, didn't you? Acting like you were some kind of savior." "I saved this company, Daniel," I snapped. "You tore it down." Elena's eyes darted between us. "He didn't mean to—" "Don't defend him," I said, sharper than I intended. "You knew what he was doing, and you let it happen. You stood there while he buried us." Her shoulders slumped. "I thought I could fix it. I thought if I stayed close to him, I could control the damage." "Control?" I laughed bitterly. "You call losing your company control? You call ruining your reputation control?" Daniel rolled his eyes. "You really think you're better than us, don't you?" "I know I am," I said quietly. "Because I learned something you never did. Some things aren't worth saving if you have to sell your soul to do it." He stepped closer, his voice low. "You think walking away makes you noble? You're just a coward who ran when things got hard." I stared at him for a long moment. Then I said, "You're wrong. I didn't run. I just stopped fighting for people who didn't deserve me." Elena flinched. I saw her mouth open, then close again. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her, but that feeling died quickly. She had made her choice, and now she had to live with it. "Tom," she whispered, "I was wrong. About everything. You were the only one who ever truly cared. And I—" "Stop," I interrupted. "Don't say it. It's too late." Tears welled in her eyes. "I lost everything because I trusted the wrong person." I met her gaze. "No, Elena, you lost everything because you betrayed the right one," Daniel snorted. Touching. Real touching. "But you think this little speech changes anything? You're still nobody." I took a step closer, close enough to see the panic flicker behind his arrogance. "You keep telling yourself that," I said quietly. "Because when your empire collapses, and it will, you'll realize something I already learned. Being feared isn't the same as being respected." He sneered. "You think you scare me?" "I don't need to," I said. "The truth does that for me." For the first time, he had no comeback. I could see it in his eyes, the fear, the desperation. Everything he'd built on lies was unraveling, and he knew it. Elena looked at me like she wanted to say more, but I shook my head. "Don't. You can't fix what's broken between us. You made your choice and so did I." Her voice broke. "Do you hate me?" I hesitated. "No, I don't hate you. I just don't recognize you anymore." She turned away, shoulders trembling. I could hear her whisper to herself. "I ruined everything," Daniel muttered. Pathetic, under his breath. I shot him a look that made him step back. "You really don't get it, do you?" I said. "All that power you stole, it was never yours. It was borrowed, built on deceit. And now that it's crumbling, you're exposed." He laughed weakly. "You think anyone cares? People forget. They always do." "Not this time," I said, glancing at the reporters gathering near the stage. "You made too many enemies. You burned too many bridges. You'll find out what it's like to be alone." His grin faded completely then, replaced by the expression I'd been waiting to see. Fear. The kind of fear that comes when a man realizes his empire is made of glass. Elena finally turned back to me, tears streaking her cheeks. "Tom, what will you do now?" I looked at her, then at Daniel. "What I should have done a long time ago," I said. Walk away, she looked confused.
You're just leaving?
Yes, I said, because revenge doesn't fix anything.
You two are already destroying yourselves. I don't need to help, Daniel scoffed.
You think walking away makes you stronger?
I smiled faintly. No, it makes me free.
I turned toward the exit, feeling the tension ease with every step. Behind me, I heard Elena call my name, but I didn't look back. Not this time. I didn't need to. For the first time in years, I felt peace, not the kind that comes from victory, but the kind that comes from letting go. As I stepped outside into the cold night air, I whispered to myself, "It's over," and for once I believed it. The news came quietly, almost anticlimactically. No headlines, no dramatic downfall, just a series of quiet reports confirming what I already knew. Elena's company had finally collapsed. The empire she built, the one I helped keep standing for years, had crumbled under the weight of her own choices. And Daniel? He disappeared from the scene entirely, leaving behind debts, lawsuits, and a trail of burned bridges. I sat in my office, sipping coffee, staring out at the skyline. It felt strange. For so long, I'd imagined this moment as some kind of victory, a grand, satisfying end to everything they put me through. But there was no joy in it. No triumph. Just silence and maybe a little sadness. Mark called not long after. "You've seen the news, right?" "I have," I said. "It was only a matter of time," he sighed. "Can you believe it? Daniel's gone, and Elena's filed for bankruptcy. She's lost everything." "I can believe it," I replied quietly. "It was coming." Mark hesitated. "You don't sound happy." "I'm not," I said honestly. "I thought I would be, but I'm not." There was a pause. Then he said, "Maybe that's because you've already moved on." I smiled faintly. "Maybe." Later that afternoon, I went for a walk through the park near my apartment. It was cold, the kind of sharp chill that keeps your thoughts clear. I watched people go by, couples laughing, kids running, life moving on around me. It felt grounding. For the first time in years, I wasn't caught in someone else's chaos. My phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I did anyway. It was a message from Elena. "I'm sorry. For everything. I know it doesn't matter now, but I needed to say it." I stared at the words for a long time. My heart didn't race this time. There was no anger left, no bitterness, just a quiet acceptance. I typed slowly. "I know you are. I hope you find peace." I didn't wait for her reply. I didn't need one. That night, Mark dropped by with a bottle of whiskey. "You know," he said, pouring us each a glass, "you could have ruined them yourself. You had enough evidence to bury Daniel and destroy Elena's credibility." "I know," I said, "but I didn't need to," he frowned. "You're telling me you don't regret letting them off easy?" I swirled the drink in my glass. "They didn't get off easy, Mark. They lost everything. The difference is, I didn't have to lose myself in the process." He studied me for a moment before nodding. "You've changed." "I had to," I said softly. "The old me would have gone after them no matter the cost. But that's not who I want to be anymore." Mark raised his glass. "To starting over?" I clinked mine against his. "To starting over." After he left, I sat alone on the balcony, looking out at the city lights. I thought about everything. The late nights in the office, the long hours spent fixing someone else's mess, the trust I gave so freely, and how it all came crashing down. It should have broken me. For a while it almost did. But somewhere in that chaos, I found something worth keeping. Myself. I learned that my worth doesn't come from the approval of people like Elena. It doesn't come from my job title, my salary, or the praise of those who only see value when it benefits them. It comes from my choices, what I stand for, and who I decide to be when everything else falls apart. A few weeks later, I was offered a promotion at my new firm. My boss, a sharp but fair woman named Claire, smiled as she handed me the contract. "You've earned this," she said. "Your leadership has made a real difference here." "Thank you," I replied, genuinely meaning it. She tilted her head. "You know, you don't talk much about where you came from. Most people would brag about their past experience at Hartwell Dynamics." I laughed quietly. "Let's just say I learned what not to do." Claire smiled knowingly. "Fair enough. Sometimes the best lessons come from the worst places." "Yeah," I said. "They do." That evening, I took a long walk home. The air was crisp, and for once the world didn't feel heavy. I thought about Elena and Daniel, not with anger, but with understanding. People like them don't just wake up and decide to betray others. They get lost chasing things that don't matter, money, power, control, and they forget what's real until it's gone. I had been lost once too, but not anymore. When I reached my apartment, I stopped at the door and looked up at the sky. The stars were faint through the city haze, but they were there. Constant, patient, unbothered by the noise of the world below. I smiled. For the first time in years, I wasn't haunted by what I'd lost. I was proud of what I'd found. Peace. And as I stepped inside, closing the door behind me, I whispered the words I'd been waiting to say for a long time, words not of vengeance but of release. It's finally over.